Well, I'll tell you, Martin, it's a great journey, and you brought up about half a dozen different points, from the nature of epiphany to spirituality, to inquiry versus answers, to religion versus faith, a whole bunch of great topics that I would love to get back to.
Okay.
But first I want to ask Vince, maybe to also, Vince, share a little bit about your background and what brought you to the place where you're now the director of Center for Spirituality and Work.
Sure, Alan, I'd be happy to. I guess my journey also started in management consulting like Martin. I was in the consulting business for 22, 23 years,
right.
Most of my career, starting with a large international firm and running a fairly large practice.
Which firm was that, Vince?
It was called the Wyatt Company in those days. Now it's Watson Wyatt.
Oh, sure.
So that was a large practice in Toronto. And busy, hectic, very rewarding, very exciting as a young man, trying to make his way in the business world, doing some interesting work. But I found that after 5 or 6 years, the environment and the pace and the focus on money no longer spoke to me. And I guess it was a bit of a change in values or a change in value system. Something was going on.
Right.
One of my midlife crises, perhaps. Who knows? But it really caused me to think and to eventually leave and pursue my own consulting business, focusing on the charitable sector. And so what I did for the following 14 years or so was provide strategy consulting to the Canadian charitable sector, so working exclusively with charities, trying to help them have more impact through really being clear about what they wanted to do and where they wanted to go. And so that spoke differently to me. I found it to be closer to what I knew at the time to be sort of my work. It allowed me to work with people I found incredibly inspiring for their dedication and their devotion to a cause, whatever that was.
Right.
And then I'd say, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I began questioning my work and thinking that I needed more meaning, and so or to find meaning. And I actually thought, maybe I needed to change my work and become counselor, social worker, some kind of role that I would find meaning in that would allow me to work closely with someone who needed help, rather than at a organizational level, a leadership level. And after a lot of reflection and sort of kicking it around and toying with it, I realized that it wasn't about finding work with meaning, it was about finding meaning in my work. And that was like Martin's epiphany, for me that was a real light bulb moment and caused me to look at my work very differently. And I continued to do that kind of consulting work with charities, but took the time to try and express my own spiritual values and my own spiritual beliefs, my practice in my work with clients, and really try to help them open up to the hunger that they had, the individuals in these organizations had, to have meaningful conversations amongst themselves to try and solve their issues or create better organizations. So then my wife and I decided last year that we wanted an adventure and to change and to move and just to reinvent ourselves in some way. And we decided to move to Halifax, which was a place we'd grown to love over the years. And when the position at St. Mary's came up, I jumped at it because to me it just meant sort of the next natural step in my evolution and my work. And here I am.
Well, that's great. Well, congratulations on that assignment. It sounds exciting.
Thank you.
Throwing out to both of you guys, to kind of quickly, tell me a little bit about the mission of the Center for Spirituality in the Workplace, where you are today in terms of enrollment and kind of the overall vision and what your dream is for that center, maybe in the near and long distance future.
Why don't I take the first part of the question, and then Vince can take part two, because it's a very appropriate question. The purpose is positively and strategically influencing the conversation and accomplishments about spirituality in the workplace globally.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that again. Positively and strategically influencing the conversations and accomplishments about spirituality in the workplace globally.
Mm-hmm. And that sounds like that's your mission statement.
Correct.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That we see, given where work is, that the first thing you need to do is open the permission and safety and comfort to have the conversation about spirituality and work, and then what will you do? So we've had three executive directors. Two have been part-time faculty, one after the other, and then we decided to move now to Vince, who's not an academic, purposely doing that to grow the center. And so we've done all kinds of stuff. So we have 4 PhD students now. We have 2 undergraduate courses. We have an email list that goes to 24 countries, over 800 people. We have visiting professors who come. A lot of them, I'm thinking of a guy, Jonathan Smith from England, who was from Anglia, or is from Anglia Ruskin University there, and wanted to do something similar there, but there wasn't a lot of support. He came and spoke to us and saw everything that we were doing and just got completely juiced by it, and has now gone back and started his entree into that world. We've had major press coverage from around the world. Mm-hmm. It's the only one of its type in Canada. There's only 3 or 4 others in the U.S. What am I missing, Vince? I think those are the major things. We have a website, spiritualityintheworkplace.ca, not .com. Sorry, Vince.
Well, I was just going to say, maybe if I could build on what Martin's saying, I think really in terms of impact, what we're trying to do is we're trying to change the way organizations work and change the way people work, but not in a way where, as Martin said earlier, we tell people what to do. We're really trying to change the environment so that the kinds of conversations we're talking about, which are conversations about meaning and about purpose, people are able to have them. They feel comfortable having them. The environment is accepting of them, of the conversations, and they can take place in the workplace. Because we see, and Martin has seen for years, and I've seen in the short time I've been involved, a real hunger out there among people to have these conversations as they relate to work, because that's where they spend a lot of their time, that's where they devote a lot of their energy, that's where they focus, right? In terms of life, a lot of our focus is on our work.
Right.
So there's that real hunger out there. So what we're trying to do is trying to change the way organizations work in terms of these conversations, and to seed those through evidence or stories or academic research, which supports our position that workplaces would be better if they could have these conversations. And there is a growing body of research which shows that, when people are more connected to meaning in their work, they're happier, more productive, organizations prosper more, et cetera, which we often think of as sort of purely business outcomes or business measures, but really are tied very closely to this notion of meaning and purpose.